All right, it's 7:30. Welcome to the number one broadcast coming to you live from my wife's basement. That's Wiseman's roundtable for whatnot resellers or sellers, I guess, really. They're all beautiful sellers. I'm your host, Wiseman. This is the Dark Sun Overvalue Network. This is a continuation of what we do. I should say what I do in my life coaching business as well. All right, so tonight I got a good one for you. This one's so good that you got to speak on it because everybody's going to get caught up in it, even your friendly neighborhood wise man. All right. We have to run our own race as sellers. Virginia. We have to run our own race. And what I mean by that is we should be focusing on our own personal goals that are within our means, at our pace, and as much as we can should include our values. And the reason I say that is Whatnot is one of the few places where your competition is actually visible to you and their dealings as well. And when you do that, when you view your competition, you may measure yourself against your competition. Or let's say you haven't got started yet and you want to check out how things work. And while you're looking at what these other sellers are already doing, you might have feelings, excuse me, like feelings of inadequacy. Like, I'm not going to be able to rise up to that level. But remember, ultimately, you're running your race. And if you're creating a business, you should be tracking some stuff. And the things you need to track aren't other people. They're your stuff. If you've got time to be doing something, you should be tracking your profit and making sure that your margins are good. This one I had to actually make some notes on. There's so much we're going to talk about. And when I say run your own race, remember that the person in the front of the race, in a physical foot race, cannot see the people behind them because they're in the front. So while you may see some people doing some things, once you're good at what you're doing, you don't have time to look at what everybody else is doing. You barely have enough time to go in and see your regular friends when they're running a show. We all got lives and responsibilities. So use the time that you do have in your life. Use it to make your show better. Some of the things that I've learned over my time is avoid comparison, because even though you may all buy from the same people, you do not know who has a particular type of financing or what kind of friendship they have with them. Sometimes you're not on the same deal they are. So set your goals about what you can accomplish. If you're playing with $5,000 to start, make your goal to get that $5,000 back in X amount of time, and then to work with the rest, or to double it again, whatever your particular goal is. Your goals need to be smart, though. All right, they need to be specific, measurable, attainable. They need to be relevant to what's going on in the bigger mindset, and they need to be time bound. You need to set realistic goals you can actually accomplish. Stay in your own lane, work at your own pace, and you will develop at your own pace. The more hours you put into this, the more dollars will come back out of it. That's usually the measure of success for most people that are in reselling or in retail. is the amount of dollars. Can you make money on it? And then after you've made money, can you do it full time? And then after you've done it full time, can you support an employee? Can you branch out? Can you grow into other things? Whatnot is an awesome platform to grow on. You will grow exponentially if you mind your money like a good steward and you don't give the whole house away. All right. Embrace your timing. Understand that there's a right time for everyone to do things. And financially, it might not be your time to be as big as whoever your idol is in the whatever category. You know what I mean? They could have been at it for maximum, I guess, on Whatnot 5 years. Some people come onto Whatnot with 10 years of retail behind them already. Now, if you know anything about retail, it's all about what you own versus what you're paying for. So, if you own everything and you've been in it for 10 years, what I mean by that is when you buy something, you're writing a check for it or it's coming directly out of your company checking account. There's no credit cards involved or anything like that. You own everything. You don't owe anybody anything when the product comes in. And if you own everything and you've been doing it for 10 years, it gets really easy to grow. Because you can look at something that you've maybe been holding on to for a while and be like, you know what? I don't need all 14 of those. I probably need the 3 that we can see on the shelf and the other 9 I could blow out on Whatnot, etc. ad nauseum. I'm telling you, especially if you sell small things, because you can fit a lot of small things in a reasonably small space. All right, so when it comes to you and building your mindset into running your own race, you need to be resilient. There are going to be times where you're getting ready for this massive show this weekend, and you've been putting all your profits for the last 3 weeks into this buy, and you've been hyping it up on your stream, and you've been talking about what's coming in, and the day comes, and lo and behold, 2 hours before you, someone else gets on and starts selling the same thing. Now, if you weren't watching, your level of energy would have been the same going into your show as it was before you knew the other person was selling. So if you don't ever know what they're doing, you just keep doing your thing. I got this awesome deal. I put a whole bunch of money into it for 3 weeks. I'm going to offer this blowout deal to my customers. Everybody's going to be happy in this. Exactly what changed? Because if you take that same level of energy into that show 2 hours after his, and you see the other, or hers, and you see the other 300 people that are going to go through your show that didn't go through his show because he was on 2 hours earlier, or he already sold out of it. And if it's a high demand product, like back in the Jade days, when Jade knives first came out, it didn't matter who got on. You could get on, you could be a guy that just bought a jade handled knife off somebody. It got in the mail today. You could get on and offer that knife for $10 over what you paid for it plus shipping, and they would have bought it. It's okay. Your time will come in your time. There's going to be a point where they don't have it all. There's even times where I don't have what I normally have. And you know how I buy. So if it's going to happen to me, it's going to happen to you. Concentrate on what you're doing and be the best at what you're doing. If you are a ring dealer, you need to figure out how you personally can put 100% of the effort into it. How can I add in a few extra minutes of tweaking my listings so that they come up in a better order? How can I improve my flow? How can I better package my products? How can I add another level of intimacy with my customers that they don't get in these other streams, where the Persian guy's hawking off stuff that he doesn't care about the wearer. He cares about selling this ring. Do you care about your wearer? If you do, you already got a head up on the Persian guy. I guess I shouldn't be saying Persian guys right now, but a lot of Persian guys have been, that's a stereotype. I guess I'm going to get canceled. Well, what the hell? I totally got canceled. They just put another one in his place. Oh, well. I'm probably getting canceled. If I get canceled, don't y'all watch me. Just come buy stuff from my shows. So anyway, I forgot where I was going. All right. Building resilience. Your mental focus and your emotional endurance should be focused to stay on your path. You know, like when you first go into Jedi training, the master... floating cat hair. The master does things that you cannot even comprehend. The first time he slaps you with a Nalgene bottle from 2 city blocks over, you're going to be extremely intimidated. But one day, he's going to slap you with that Nalgene bottle from across the room, and you're going to hit him back with a shop vac. True story. It happens. At some point, you too will have the power. It's all about focus. Now, I'm not promising telekinesis. I think that's telekinesis. I'm not promising telekinesis here. What I'm saying is, if you stay focused on a thing, you're going to get a lot better at it. The more you do it over and over, the more you check to make sure everything on that shelf is in that show you're about to launch, the more things that will actually be in the show you're about to launch. And you're going to have to trust me. When y'all see the dollar go clearances, it's usually happened because so many things have cycled off the inventory at some point that they're not making it into a show, and my shelving gets all screwed up. Or like in this case, I'm getting ready to move back to the showroom. So, you know, like, focus on your stuff. Make sure your listings are accurate. Make sure your quantities are good. Make sure the show you thought you loaded is loaded. When it was me and Big Man's standard wrap-up was towards the end there, was to load the show he just ended into the show he will next begin. And he would just clone it right over. Because except for 3 days a week, we didn't have any new things coming in. So 3 days a week, he could just copy over the show. The other 3 days, we had to enter a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is, if you stay focused on what you're doing, you keep doing it over and over, you'll get good at it. Now, if you're in the starting stages, yes, it's very intimidating to look up at these guys on Whatnot and see them just knocking them out. Boom, boom, boom. They put up 10 knives, they sell 10 knives. They put up 15 pieces of field gear, they sell 15 pieces of field gear. All right. That can be intimidating, but you don't know what's going on there. They may have cashed out their wife's 401k and sunk it all into this because they wanted to be a rock star like Wiseman on Whatnot. All right. I've seen it in the gun shows happen a lot. I know one guy that cashed out his wife's 401k and it ended up being a success. But that was a rarity. Most of the time it doesn't work like that. If you got a big pile to start with, you're going to have more loose ends than you did if you started with a small pile and began to grow it. And then you need help, you bring people in. But, I mean, if you really want to make a go of it, you really need about 50 grand to make this happen. Because the way rotation works and you can't sink your money into one thing, and like by the time you're done, you look around and it's 50, 60, 70 grand invested. And if you don't have space, it's even worse. You know what I mean? All right, but don't let that distract you. There are thousands of sellers that literally only sell things around their house, and when they're done, they're done. Or they sell them and they get the bug like the rest of us, and next thing you know, they're outsourcing the same genres of the things that they're already into already, and they're selling those. The best thing to do is do what you know, do what you love, and put the hours in it that you and your family can afford for you to put them in. If you can't afford to be away from the family to put these hours in, don't get started. It's going to be this constant nagging of trying to serve two masters, if you understand what I mean. And at one point, one of them will get so much attention that the other master, if it's a living creature, will begin to feel like it's being neglected. If it's a whatnot stream, it won't matter, but most people won't make that choice because the dopamine and the reward is in the success of growing a business, selling on the stream, and being able to say whatever it is that you want to say, which is why you run the business. Like, I want to say, all right, you be careful, Duke. I'll worry about you. Take care of your mama. Don't forget the dog either. Duke says he got a tornado warning, so he's got to go for those that are off whatnot. He just had one last week, too. All right. Where's the rest of my notes? All right. I've said this in a couple different ways, but I want to say it that would be suitable for a short and is suitable for you. Watching the competition, if you're an active seller, is not healthy. It's not healthy for a couple reasons. Mostly because you don't understand the context of what's going on in their off camera. And it's unhealthy in that time that you were watching, you should have been putting into your own stuff. Now, if you've only got like 10 listings, then you're probably not watching the big guys with envy and apprehension. But if you're about to sink 5, 6, 7 grand into something, you could be looking at them and feeling that. But I know not everybody knows this, but we got started. We had tons of surplus in magazines, but we got started selling $1 fishing lures. And man, I remember the first time we got $450, and you can imagine how many fishing lures that was. Nearly 450. But back then, the way I was importing, I could get enough that by the time I was done, and I got that 62 cents, I think it was, after the auction, I actually still made money. But that was not easy, and I had to buy so many fishing lures that I will be quite honest with you, Big Man looked at me like I was nuts. I mean, honestly looked at me like I might be crazy. He was not happy when he saw that many hooks. Oh my gosh, it was a lot of hooks. Old Fuzzy, it was so long. I took so long to read your comment, I forgot what we were talking about. He said, yeah, unless you look at it as a learning experience. But I forgot where I was at when it came up. I'm sorry. Watching the competition probably. Yes. Yeah, you can use it as yes, watching other shows. That's what he said. Well, I guess, but what I see a lot when I watch them is people running at their peril as well as people running at success. I see what I feel like is some people that don't understand all of what's going on in because you're basically operating in like a retail environment. So I don't think they understand what's going on in the retail, because the cost for sale prices, and I can get some pretty good deals. So when I look at things, I'm like, when they're selling new goods, I'm like, oh, there's something wrong there. But I don't know everybody's deal either. There you go. Old Fuzzy says, I've learned how you market items, like showing how the hurricane matches work. That is a good point too. Are you gonna be selling soon, Old Fuzzy? When you do start selling, let us know, and you can put some shout outs in the stream. Oh, you are selling. Oh, all right. I didn't know that. Am I not following you? Would usually tell me when you go live. I must not be following. Here we go. There we go. I got you followed now. Now it'll pop up. All right. So, and then you also don't know what they are doing, and what took them to the front. And that's where a lot of those interpersonal relationships in the industry, or maybe they went and got their wife's 401k out and blew it all. You never know. All right. And then the other danger is that you will begin to copy. And this is where the biggest danger is, because copying is not always the key to success. If you sit there and spend all your time watching what somebody else is doing, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if there's already a strong desire for something, you also need to see how many shows is that desire across. Because when you add that new stream of you being able to sell that as well, it can affect the purchase price, the overall sale price of goods for everybody. I used to see this a lot because Ruger and Smith & Wesson would deliver at the same time. You would go to the shows and make your promises in January usually. And then in April, you got, a third. Then again in June. Then again in September. A third, and a third. And it would come in like that from Ruger and Smith & Wesson. And it would come in at the same time for all of us. So everybody would be loaded on Ruger and Smith & Wesson, and since the deals were only on certain brands or certain models within the brand, we all had those same models within that brand. So during those times, there was a fight to get to the bottom, who could do the best cost averaging and sell the guns at the cheapest to get rid of them before everybody else. Whereas if you're a big dealer and you have space, what we did was we just shelved them, and we put our guns out at the same price everybody else had them, as long as it was reasonable. But we didn't make the race to the bottom. We weren't throwing in Black Hawk holsters and boxes of ammo with it to try to get it moved. Although some dealers did. That was their philosophy, and, they cleared theirs out before we did. But we knew from experience in buying in rotation that gun wasn't coming out in those volumes again that year, because these third and a third and a thirds had to do with the way the machines were rotating inside these facilities. So we would sit on them, and since we got them at a deal, we were able to stay at that regular low fixed price, even when the other dealers would sell out of those guns because they had the race to the bottom to clear them out. So you never really know what somebody's got going on. You also really don't know if they are broke. Slam broke. And this is why I used to not sell map products, because back when I first got in, there were times where I would sell something severely under value so that I could get that last $65 to make the house payment. Well, I don't live like that no more. Because I learned a lot over the years, and I amassed these things. So if they sell, they sell. If they don't, they don't. They're owned. I already paid for them. And as long as I can keep that rotation going, where everything's paid for, I don't have any problems. A lot of people can't do that. If you make a promise at SHOT, and you don't come through on the first quarter delivery, they're going to be a little upset. If you don't come through with the second quarter delivery, you're not buying next year. And in this business, in my business anyway, the summer is terrible. The summer is terrible. It's a good time for you to learn your showmanship, though. And it's a good time for you to get familiar with your customers, because the ones that are there in the summer, they're your loyalists. Now, I don't do late night prime time. Big Man always did that. We always did better late night prime time no matter what season it is. But not last summer, but the summer before, it was so bad that Whatnot was acknowledging that it was bad. Like, dealers were calling in and asking what was going on over there. And me and Big Man just kind of shrugged our shoulders and kept selling, and we made enough for rent. Well, not rent, so to speak, but we made enough for everybody to live through the summer. Season came back around and we were good again. But that can happen at any time. And right now, this war doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So high gas prices is a thing. I've already seen that. There are some things I cannot tell y'all because they come with a special way that I've gleaned knowledge over the years, and I'm just not giving that away. But I can tell you that the gas thing, that's not going away. I can tell you straight out, that's not going away. So, be prepared. It's probably going to make it all the way to summer. That's the look. I don't know what you're talking about, but I will tell you this. It's funny that you bring up the CIA. I will talk about them later in the show. All right. Copying is not always the key to success. We went over that. And it's a couple reasons for that. And some of them I talked about, some of them I didn't. The first one is, why would the people come to you if there's already a bigger seller that's already doing all the same things you can? So if you copy them, you sell their product line, your success is hinged on watching them to find out what to sell this week or next week. So you're always kind of like a week behind. But then you also got to wonder, why would the people come to watch you if that person's already vested? Other than you're going to give the stuff away. And then that goes back to the comment of, I think it was Old Fuzzy that said he sees a lot of people on here demonstrating what not to do. And I see it a lot, which is why I'm having these courses, why I'm doing this on Sunday nights. Because I would rather pick my nose on the couch with my old lady. Maybe flick it at my kid or something. Tell the dog she's cute. But there's a lot going on and people are harming themselves. So, I'm not one of those people that can sit around while the village doesn't prepare for winter. I'm one of those going around and telling people I need to start picking up nuts or I'm going to cut their hands off this winter when they try to steal. So, yeah. But why would, if you copy them, why would the people come to you? And then the next question is, let's say you do it better. You copy them and you do it better. What happens when you put them under? Then who do you copy? You move on to the next one and you copy them. It seems like a lot of research time that you could have put into getting a good price on the things that you want to sell, presenting them in a manner that makes people understand why they would want them, and then getting it off to them as quick as possible. And another reason that it's not necessarily always healthy to be watching your competition is envy is not a good motivator. And it can breed high blood pressure, anger, and a general question of what you may be doing wrong. Because if you're watching them, that means you're not busy. So whatever you're doing isn't working. Because as a busy person, I barely have enough time to go see the people that I want to be involved with here. Much less watch what someone may consider our competitions. And sometimes it's kind of dangerous to be getting like that, be popping fuses. And another thing I'd like to use is the hot dog cart analogy. So somebody put in the chat, how does a hot dog cart vendor make money? Just give me a one or two word answer, a 3-word answer on how they make money. Bam. All right. Car got it. All right. Location. That's the most common way they make money. They go to a place where there's a high demand of people that are in a hurry but still would need to eat. And these people aren't showing up at 3 a.m. with the hot dog cart. They're showing up at lunchtime. There you go. Am I one of them? I'm on YouTube too. But remember, not every hot dog cart is making money on the hot dog. Sometimes they're actually losing money on the hot dog. But if they happen to be a hot dog cart in Vegas, they're making $10 a water. You see what I mean? There's other gimmicks. The product and the product you're focused on when you're watching the other person in the show, it's based on your knowledge of the product and your space in the world in relation to the product. What you're not knowing is when they sell you those $15 hats, they paid $1.98 for them. And their old lady put that leather thing on there. And they sell it to you for $15. Now, if y'all fight over it and you spend $25, then they've made a lot of money that they can take a loss on these other items. So see what I mean? You're not always seeing what you think you're seeing. And then here's the other one. And this is not true in this case, I wouldn't think. Sometimes the hot dog vendor, he's only selling hot dogs because that's what it takes to get the cart there. But the cart just happens to be 2 blocks away from an embassy where a really fat enemy of ours likes to go walk during his lunch. So they pay for the hot dog cart. They pay for the licensing. They pay for all the sensitive instruments that go inside of it to record everything this guy says as he walks down the street for 2 blocks to get his hot dog, which he starts to get comped to him by the hot dog vendor, who's also raking in the icing on his cake of being able to sell hot dogs, water, and now lemonades to the fat enemy of the state and all the other people that happen to be around. So sometimes what you think you are seeing is not even close to what is actually happening. And this is all logical thought stuff that I'm talking about. You still have the non-logical thought side. Some people are stupid. Straight up. Some people are just dumb. It doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them not necessarily suited to steering that ship when it comes to making those financial choices. They probably ought to pay somebody to manage one side while they'd have fun doing the selling or something like that. It's not always what you think is going on. A lot of the people on here are losing their buttocks horribly. But that may not be their objective. You know, When we want to destroy something, we will spend a lot of money to go destroy it. So think about it like that. Some people's objective may be something we can't perceive because of our position in the world and the way we think. So people that are good at business are thinking about business, not some ancillary approach to it. Oh, no. No, now I did it. Oh, I knocked the government mic off. Oh, no, this one's mine. Sorry. Or it could be PsyOps. I really wish you hadn't said that to me. I just had so many things run through my head that, oh my gosh. That made me blurry and gave me a headache. Well, now I got to thinking about it because this younger crowd behind us, I'm in my 50s, but these younger people, most of them are fake and very surfacey, shallow. There we go. But a lot of them are into this sustainability stuff. And as we all know, if you're into fixing things and keeping things like a car. Oh, thank you. I did not expect a tip. But that might be that was a good one because the government would then know that production rates will begin to decline because demand is declining. So Whatnot is a turnover type shopping experience. Man, Card, I gotta get close enough to actually see that. Car 43990. Thank you. You've been the most pleasant troll I've ever encountered. Thank you so much. I appreciate that inspiring thought. They said in church today, wisdom is the ability to accept correction or new information or something like that. I can't remember. Man, I blew that quote. Sorry about that. Yeah, but that is a good point. It could be a psyop to get the consumerism up. Or I could just be extremely paranoid. Yeah, but anyway, all right, we're moving on. We talked about the CIA running the hot dog cart that's actually a recording station. All right, and we also talked about it. You don't know if they're good at it or if they took their 401k out and blew it to come do this. So when you're watching, I would say if you are going to watch people, the long timers are probably the ones to watch because their existence under the term long time indicates they either have a huge well of money that they're drawing from or they know what they're doing. And I will tell you, the more years you do it, the better you're going to get at it. Feel free to use that one. Some people do. The best way to start a business is not on your credit card. But, some people can make it work. But here's the thing, though. If it doesn't work the first 30-day cycle, you're doomed. Because now you're just keeping it on that constant rotation. And you're only ever 30 days away from taking the full interest hit. So, I personally use my credit card for buys, but then it subsequently paid off immediately. And that's only because some places won't take the debit card, and I can get extra money for points by using my card, and then that finances hotels and things like that. But that's a setup that I made on purpose. Don't just go willy-nilly into this. You need to write out a plan, Everybody needs to write out a plan and say, this is what I want to be. All right, I just got raided. Who was it? TC Militaria? Surplus dude? Who was it? Off in the Woods, even better. What's up, Off in the Woods? How you doing? I'm actually doing a talk show. Thank you. So we are talking about being a reseller on Whatnot. What's up, Shane? Oh, yeah. Well, I don't try to sell anything on Sunday night. I just talk about being a reseller and answer the questions and do talks. Yes. So, tonight we were talking about running your own race and not comparing yourself to the other streams. That you have to do what you do. You have to financially make good decisions. Don't just do things because you see them in the other streams. Oh, no problem, Shane. I try. All right, now I have only a few ideas left for podcast, and then I'm going to start going back and refining some of the older talks. It is a very rough line of work. Hey, do you want to come on? You want to co-host one time and answer questions with me? We could do a test and all that offline to make sure it works out, but I'd love to have you on. That would be so cool. Okay, all right, I will. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, so the credit card thing. If you can avoid using the credit card, I would strongly suggest that you do that. And don't lie to yourself in this next statement. If you're one of those people that is always on top of the credit card anyway, then you can probably do it because you've already got the discipline and stuff like that. But don't lie to yourself in making this analysis. If you're not one of those people that's got discipline and knows you're going to have it paid off before it hits for the interest point, don't do it. Just set the money aside and wait a little longer. That would be awesome, Off in the Woods. All right, so for those of you on YouTube, Off in the Woods rated us, and we were talking about maybe coming on as a co-host. He's saying he might even bring his entire crew. That would be sweet. Nice. Well, we are planning things. All right, so any questions tonight? Doesn't necessarily have to be about the subject at hand. I'll take them off the cuff, too. You too, Off in the Woods? Oh, I bet you do. He said he got some boxing to do. I don't know about him, but I know I spent hours boxing. I spent hours putting things in. And then when you think you're done, you have a show. And you get to start all over again. But I did the same type of work, but in a completely different, not the same type of work scenario once, where I handled paperwork, and it just never ended. And the only thing cool about the paperwork is that there was a human attached to it, and the job that I did helped them. But if I didn't get to meet them face to face, even the reward of having seen who you helped was removed. And at some point, knowing that the paperwork would never slow down, like it would never stop, everyone said that's job security. And I was like, that's insanity. I can't do this. We should get a robot to do this. I'm going to have to find another line of work. Yeah, anybody got any questions before we wrap up? Man, I went to edit last week's video. Oh my gosh, that took me forever. I forgot I cut that into 4 parts. And of course, the parts never line up either. All right. No questions. I'm going to end the podcast portion and stop recording, and then we'll see if anybody wants anything while we're on here. Alrighty, so I'm Wiseman. I'm with the Dark Sun Overvalue Network. I also have another business called VALifeCoaching.com. I do actually do a 7-week program with Whatnot sellers. I'm intense though. Like, if you want to commit to Whatnot and you want a coach to get you through it, I can be there for you. But I'm intense. Like, I want you to succeed. Like, you can do it level. I want you to succeed. Check it out over there. I have a couple other things coming down the pipe with some other sellers on Whatnot. We're going to try to get together and do some co-hosts for y'all. So, Jason Z EDC says, thank you for this. Hey, no problem. This is what I do. I encourage people and I sell stuff. And believe it or not, y'all might be helping me work up my own personal skills towards some of my other endeavors as well. Yeah. It's nice to help. And I do a lot of talking off the cuff here because if I wrote it all down in notes, I'd just be reading it to you. Nobody wants that. All right, y'all. Y'all take care of each other. Check me out at VA Life Coaching.
It's just a lot.
Yeah, let me check something real quick.
Sure.
I'll pull up the app.
Whatever works. I just want some space back.
At VA Life Coaching, we can get you started on your Whatnot career. Act now. Our slots are filling up in our 7 weeks.